Joe Williamson, and this is That Nerd Dad podcast. We have a guest today. My guest today is Anne Ivison. She is a voice-over actress, voice recording actor, something to that effect, and also the host of the Let's Take This Outside podcast. We just had probably the most fun I've ever had on a podcast. Okay, so I'm gonna throw to the theme song, and then there's gonna be a false start introduction. I encourage you to listen to the false start introduction. It's insane. And then we go to a real introduction, and the episode really starts. And then it's just awesome fun because she has mic problems, and we roll with it. And I promise you will laugh and giggle along with us as we go through 30 minutes or so of talking about voice over acting and her podcast. Anne is here. Yay, Marianne. Thank you for coming.
You're so welcome. It's ironic because I literally only work with audio. That is my entire existence, and my microphone isn't working right now. So we're old school in it. We're raw dogging it with a microphone in the Mac. That's what we're gonna do.
Can you say raw dogging it in public company, or like polite company? Can you say raw dogging it?
I just did. So. Is that a record for saying raw dog on that Nerd Dad podcast?
Oh, for sure. It might have been the first time ever, to be perfectly honest.
And it was in the first 10 seconds, so you're welcome.
You think That Nerd Dad podcast, it's about parenting and stuff normally. Raw dogging it would come up once in a while.
True, I guess.
Because otherwise kids don't exist.
True.
So, off to a great start. It was weird, and I don't know why it went that way it did, but I take what the guests give me. Now the real episode starts. Ivison, Marianne, thanks for attending the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here, and I will call you out and say, because I had audio issues, because I'm an audio professional, so of course I'm gonna have issues. This is our second go.
This is second go. Yeah. The first go was offensive, let's say.
Offensive. I hope you include it in the
I will.
Recording.
I don't know if it's going to be before this or after this, but the first go around got off to a weird start before her audio got a little awkward.
If it's not a weird start, I don't want to be a part of it. So
that's fair. I live in that space. I'm going to try to recreate what we had just said about your name, though.
Sure.
Because I did ask to clarify Ivison, Ivison, to make sure I'm enunciating it correctly.
Ivison,
it's a respect thing.
Thank you first of all, I want to thank you for asking how to pronounce my name. I think it's your name. It's very important. It's my branding. It's who I am. So thank you for asking. But I definitely have a pet peeve around my name and how people deal with my name. So Anne Ivison is my full name. I have no middle name. Anne is my first name. I have no hyphen, so people might get confused. But where I have an issue is where I'm exchanging emails with someone and they just say, "Oh, hi, Mary," even though I sign my name Anne every single time. Any branding, anything on my website, my podcast, everything that is in the universe is Anne Ivison. It's not Mary Ivison. It's not Anne Ivison. It's Anne. Anyway, so when I see that, I usually assume that you're not paying attention. That's what I assume. If
that's a reasonable thing to assume, it's an attention to detail thing.
Mm-hmm. So I have a big pet peeve around people not. Yeah, Mary Ivison, the first time fine, but if I'm signing my name Anne, then I feel like that's what you know. Isn't that? What do you think?
I don't know, because my name is Joseph. I go by Joe.
Yeah.
I will say I don't really like Joey. I'm not a Joey guy. Only a couple of my closest douchebag friends call me Joey, and that's just to irritate me. But outside of that, no one really calls me Joey. But even then, I won't correct you. If someone calls me Joey, I'm way too passive. I'll be like, okay, it's Joey. It's fine.
Fine.
So
I guess. Yeah.
it's fine. Whatever. I get more annoyed when people don't say that nerd dad. And when people say, "Oh, you're the nerd dad," I'm like, no, someone else has got copyright on the nerd dad. I had to. The reason why I'm that nerd dad is because the nerd dad was taken. Like,
oh, okay, but it's also your branding. I get it. It's
exactly. A lot of Google searching went into finding that nerd dad, including I'm .ca, not .com, because .com is taken by some jackass who hasn't updated his blog in 10 years.
Of course it is. Not a big fan.
I digress. This isn't about me. This is about you. You're a guest on my show.
I'd rather talk about you, to be honest.
No, I don't. I'm super uncomfortable with that premise.
Like you're in your mom's basement right now, right?
I am absolutely in my mom's basement. Mom broke her hip in September. So she doesn't really need that much help anymore, but I'm around during the day, just in case.
To be fair, that paneling reminds me of my Nona's basement. So it's giving me some vibes. It's giving me some vibes for sure.
Hopefully good vibes.
Very good vibes. I mean, like Italian grandmother basement vibes. Yeah, that's what it's giving.
We are not Italian.
I know you're not Italian, but it's giving me Italian vibes of my history.
Let's get off this track because I don't like where it's going at all. You are a voiceover artist. Is that the correct term? Voiceover artist?
Voiceover professional, voiceover artist, voice actor, whatever. Yeah, you can.
Okay, that interests me. The fake wood paneling and all the toys and shit behind me does not. The voice acting, professional, whatever it is, that interests me because you were in broadcasting first. Correct? Or were you voiceover before you got into broadcasting? What was the chain of events?
Chain of events was broadcasting for 12 years.
Okay.
Oh, from the time I was I was working in radio full time from the time I was 20. So I had an entire career in radio before I started doing voiceover. So voiceover, okay, but just voiceover alone, I've only been doing for a couple of years.
Okay, what prompted that?
Getting laid off, figuring out, what skills do I have? What am I good at? And here's the thing is when you're in broadcasting, you're working with audio, you're working with tech equipment, to edit audio. So I was ahead of the game in a few of those aspects, like being comfortable with audio and recording. And I'd also recorded probably hundreds.
I'm going to stop you again.
Okay.
It's starting to break up again. I'm not going to pause the recording though. Okay. We're going to just jump out and then come back in. I'll fill.
Okay.
Drop out and come back. Okay, she's gone. She's a voiceover professional. I do not want her speech about how she became a voiceover professional to sound like shit. That would not be a good thing to do as a host and as her being my guest on the show.
Can we blame Restream? Is this sounding better?
There you go. It sounds way better again.
We're blaming Restream for this.
Sure. Restream. Get your shit together. As you were saying, but courtesy to you, you're about to say like I'm a voiceover professional. Sounds terrible. Yeah. You know what it sounded? It sounded like when your parents had I have records behind me here. I have records there. When they get scratched and it's just like tons of white noise and pops and stuff while you're talking. So
big fan.
You were saying you got laid off. Let's pick up there.
Sure. So I got laid off. And then I took a little spirit quest and tried to figure out what do I want to do with my life. So that I kind of just threw a bunch of stuff at the wall. I did interviews with real jobs. And then I was like, I'm going to do voiceover, I guess. Cause I have voiced probably hundreds, thousands of commercials. When you're in radio, you're always voicing commercials for on the air as well. So I had that experience, but I will say that the radio read is way different than a lot of what I do now. What they're looking for and what most clients seem to be looking for and what's really cool now and what's trending is the natural read and sounding natural instead of, all right, Bob's Biscuits is on sale. We don't anymore. We don't really do that anymore. So yeah, I got laid off, figured out exactly what I wanted to do, realized oh, I guess I'm pretty good at this. Oh, maybe. I guess people are hiring me for this. I guess I'm kind of making money from this. let's see where it goes. And I can't believe that it's been 2 years.
That's amazing. So, and the reason why when I was thinking about what I was going to ask you is because obviously, as someone who's kind of adjacent to this world, I find the broadcasting experiencing interesting.
Thanks.
And I think anyone who has a decent voice has had a thought, even if it's fleeting. I should get into voice acting. I should do voiceover work. It should be my side hustle. I should get on Fiverr and do some voice acting.
I have to say, Joe, maybe you've heard this on another show that I've been on before, but the amount of it's mostly just like white men that I've gone on dates with in the past.
No, dates with not in the past. Okay, I'm out on that one.
You. No, you're not on that list, but you're a white.
I am a white male.
You are a white man. Any white man that I've gone on a date with in the past, I would say there's probably been about 4 or 5 who had said voiceover, like, how can I do that on the side? Like, how can I do that? Like, I've been told I have a great voice. Don't love that. It is possible to do it, I would say, on the side. But if there's anything I've learned the last couple of years is that this isn't really a side hustle thing. You have to be fully committed to this to really make any kind of headway in this business. It's constantly marketing. It's constantly reaching out. It's constantly updating your skills. It's coaching. It's interacting with clients. Like, there's so many aspects to it that people don't realize, that it's not just turning on a microphone and talking. It's constantly learning and updating your skills and try to be better, because this is like the most competitive thing I've ever done. Like, radio is very competitive. This is extremely competitive.
It has that perception of being easy, though, right? And I say this because, look, I used to do stand-up comedy previous lifetime, and every time I would say to someone, "Oh, I'm currently doing 3 open mics a week," someone would go, "Oh, everyone tells me I should do stand-up."
How did that make you feel?
Okay, so we're gonna make this about me again. 2 ways. One, I abandoned it because I realized I wasn't as committed to the cause as the guys who are truly hustling and grinding. And because the guys who want to make it realize it's going to take 10 years and they're doing 2 shows a night for free across town. Like, those are the guys who are going to make it because they're out there grinding and hustling. At first I used to be hesitant. I'd be like, it's not for anyone. It takes a lot of work to get up there and try to be funny. And the first time you don't hear a laugh or something to that effect. But the longer I did it, the more I was like, you should do it. You should do it. Because I wanted them to fail. I wanted them to get up and I wanted them to feel it and be like, yeah, it's not so fucking easy. So yeah. What do you say when your date is like, I wanted to do that. I was told I have a great voice. What do you say?
Oh gosh, I also haven't been on a date in a very long time because I generally hate men. That's a whole other story. Not hate men. I just the dating scene isn't great post-COVID. I don't know if you have any single friends.
That clip is going to be taken way out of context for this episode. It'll be like, it's a dating episode, but it's not. But go ahead.
So I haven't been on a date in a really long time to be able to tell you what I say to that. But I do have friends who are in radio for sure, and good friends of mine who have reached out, and I will always help out. I will always try to help. If someone is taking it seriously or wants to inquire, I will always try to help. But I will never give away all my secrets because it's taken me a couple years to do it, right? I'm not going to hand you over my playbook, but I do help people that I already care about. And if you were to just reach out to me out of nowhere, you found my website, you're like, I really am interested, I'd be willing to chat quickly for sure, but I'm not going to spend an hour with you without charging you a consulting fee, because I know that sounds ridiculous, but my time is money now. I only make money when I can't just, I work contract to contract now, right? I don't work a 9 to 5 where I know I'm getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, right? So everything I've learned, I'm very careful with what I share, who I share it with. I know that sounds really selfish and maybe gatekeeping, but I also only have so much time and energy to put into it. I do, though. I will say that I can't hear you.
I am on mute and I'm talking to you, and I'm saying you need to drop off and come back again.
No, this is going to be a disaster. I'm so
No, it's
sorry.
fine. I don't mind. It's hilarious. It's a great episode. There she is.
There she is. Okay, where do you want me to start from?
I don't know. I could hear you. It was beautiful. I loved it. You're gatekeeping. You're saying I don't want anyone else in the industry. I am protecting my business plan because the less competition I have, the better. No, you were saying, and I respect what you're saying. Your time is money. You're an independent contractor. This is your livelihood. This is not a side hustle. This is not a side hustle. This is how you earn a living.
But sorry,
go ahead.
I was just going to say that I do have, again, I have friends who are in radio or broadcasting or podcasting who are like, oh, how do I do this? Yeah, I will always help out my friends 100%. I will do whatever I can to help you at least try it and see if it's something that you would like to pursue, but also be really honest about how much work it really is.
Okay, so how much work is it? Because I imagine you just get a script, you read it once, you send it back to them, and you say, okay, collect money, please. That's how it works, right?
That's exactly how it works. I get 100% of the jobs, and that's it. So it's almost like I want to work. So can we work backwards almost?
Sure.
A little bit. So what my life looks like now, and I would like to say that everyone's looks different. So this is just my own experience. But what it looks like now, this is where I get auditions from. I get auditions from, I have an agent in Toronto who is excellent. He sends me several auditions a week. Those are for bigger commercial gigs. That's pretty much strictly commercial. I have clients I've reached out to on my own, like local production companies, video production companies who have built a relationship with, e-learning companies that reach out to me, whether it's an audition or it's a job. So I have those clients, and that's a lot of work, is finding those clients and building a relationship, and figuring out, do these people even need voiceover? So there's those people. I have a few different platforms. They're called pay to play. So you sign up, you pay like a certain fee, and then you're sent auditions based on kind of like algorithms and, what kind of demos you have up. So there's all these different places that I get auditions for. I also have a manager for radio imaging, and he sometimes sends me stuff as well. Otherwise, I'm doing my own marketing and trying to find new radio stations that I can do imaging on. So there's a bunch of different places. So I do commercial, e-learning, radio imaging, and kind of like my main things, explainer videos. So I do kind of just like this wide range. Like I don't really do a lot of like video games or animation. Like that's not really my thing.
Is that by choice, or is that just they haven't the right opportunity hasn't presented itself yet?
I've auditioned for stuff, but it hasn't been something I've really concentrated on. Like I don't have a character demo. I don't have an animation demo. So that's not something you can't just do characters right now. I can't be like, do one. Oh, that's like very much. I find that people who have a theater background, who have an actor background, or an actor and actress background are very good at that. Right? That's not something that I possess at this moment. So, okay. So I have all these, to paint you the picture, I have all of these different realms that I take from, but where did I get my demos from? I had to start auditioning. I had to create demos. I had to pay for demos. I had to get better. I had to take coaching. So you have the demos, you send them out to agencies, you get the agent. So it's like as you work backwards, you realize that there's so many different pieces that go into it. And it's constant. Like I'll do anywhere from, I would say, 30 to 50 auditions a week, right? On top of marketing, sometimes like at one point I was doing like 80 auditions a week. Holy crap. So
do I owe you money for being on the show?
No. But it's a lot of rejection. It's so much rejection. It's so much record an audition, send it off, and you have to forget about it. You have to forget about it, right? You just have to like let it go.
Is there a lot of like ghosting in the industry? Like not ghosting in terms of like, do you hear back no every time, or is it kind of like, no, thanks for your audition, and then
you don't get a thank you? It's usually it just disappears into the atmosphere, and you never hear anything.
That's frustrating.
Is it?
What?
Is it? It's
It,
just, yeah.
we're gonna make this about me again for a second. When I am approaching people to be a guest on the show,
Yeah.
um, the most annoying thing they can do is ignore me. The I recently reached out to someone who, um, I'm not going to say his name, but I reached out to him, and he sent me a very polite, "No, thank you. I'm not interested in doing an interview at this time." And I was like so appreciative of that thank you, because it wasn't like, do I follow up in 2 weeks? Maybe he
Yeah.
missed it. Did it land in his junk mail? But like, I knew instantly where I stood. Not interested in talking to me. Cool.
Mhm.
At least I know where I stand.
It's, to be fair though, I'd probably get pretty annoyed if I was getting that many no emails. I'd rather.
Also, this is about how good you are as a voiceover artist now. That's I get all the additions.
No. I mean, I'd rather just never hear anything, because you have to move on, because even last night I was talking to our mutual friend Scott
It
McGregor.
went staticky, Ian. Jump out. Come back in. We'll talk about your mutual friend, Scott. It's amazing. What a great show. This has been
Are you
the
gonna
first.
chop it? Are you chopping?
Sorry?
Are you gonna chop it up?
No, I'm going to let it all go.
You're gonna leave it?
Do you know why I'm going to let it go?
What?
Because this is one of the first times, and if you're a regular listener of the show, where I've had to really wing it on a regular basis. And I almost feel like a real broadcaster today. I do. Almost feel like things are not going my way, but we're making it entertaining. It's continuing to move forward. I'm good.
I don't even know. Where were we?
We were talking about our mutual friend.
Our mutual friend Scott McGregor, one of my favorite human beings. So Scott and I are chatting. I'm telling him, I'm like, dude, I gotta say, this rejection stuff, this gets to me sometimes. It's really hard on my spirit. It's really hard on my morale sometimes. And he has a great way of cheering me up and putting a positive spin on things. And I really appreciate that friendship. But I was just talking about how much rejection there is between auditions, between cold marketing, between reaching out, never hearing anything. I realized, like, I thought I was soft, but when I look at it, I'm like, I think I've had to build a thick skin around this, because otherwise I would have given up a long time ago, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say that the key to success in any field, and I'm going to speak to everything, surgeons, everyone, is perseverance.
Yeah.
Like no one is good instantly at anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to grind through it. I've been doing this for 3 years. The show still sucks. The show still sucks. I've been doing this for 3 years.
Okay, what is your metrics of success?
No,
are we talking downloads?
But
what are we talking?
My comfort level now is, when I started the show, it was a 7-minute episode. It was recorded in a closet on an iPhone. And now I have interviewed people that I admire and so it's come a long way. But it took 3 years, right? And I mean, that's the thing. It's perseverance. I could have given up. I could stop today and no one would notice. But damn it, I enjoy it and I do it for me.
I'm very proud of you for persevering, especially without a broadcasting, like stand-up for sure. Like, you have the stand-up background. That's very cool. And I'm not surprised, but I'm very proud of you for sticking with it, especially podcasting. It is also a grind. Everything I do is a grind.
It's not like, okay. So I don't know if you did that on purpose, but I'm going to segue it towards your podcast. With your broadcasting background, you may have been like, I'm going to tee it up here for them.
Also, I want to point out that if you keep just interviewing people like Scott McGregor and maybe Dean, and the thing is that we can carry the interview for you if you struggle. So, but you're not. You're doing great. So, but I'm just saying that if you were struggling, like,
am I struggling? Do you need to take over the interview?
No, you've been great. But in the past, we have all, I know individually, had to take over interviews before, because that's our nature.
One day when I'm getting ready to end this show, I'm going to I'll do the show that all broadcasters say. I'm going to do this show where I talk bad about all the people I didn't enjoy interviewing.
Yeah, I can do it.
Why not?
Am I on
what are they going to do?
The list already?
We're not doing that today. you have a podcast, because between 80 auditions a week, and that's just auditions, that's not work. That's 80 auditions a week in addition to the work. You also like to go outside, to the point where you have a podcast called Let's Take This Outside. Tell me about it, Marianne.
Let me tell you about it, Joe. My podcast, Let's Take This Outside, is I talk to athletes and outdoor professionals and scientists about their connection to nature. And one of my main goals this year, I'm in the second year of Let's Take This Outside. One of my main goals this year is to make sure that I am doing interviews and talking to people to make the outdoors more accessible for everyone, and making it more welcoming. So that is my angle of Let's Take This Outside. And again, speaking of a grind,
Go for it. What's the payoff to that joke?
No, there's no joke. It's just like, it's factual.
Here's what I love about today's episode.
that I'm just like complaining about.
No, you are a voiceover artist with technical problems. You are a Take It Outside podcast in Ottawa right now, where you're not allowed to go outside because the air quality will kill you. You'll go outside and instantly die.
Maybe not instantly die, but it's not good. It's like I think I just saw the index, and it's like the worst air quality in Canada, at least right now, or North America, from the wildfires. So yeah, a lot of irony in today's episode, Joe.
The two things you're known for, cannot do. So, okay, when did the passion for going outdoors start?
As a child.
Thanks. Good answer. Next question.
Yesterday. 25. No. Yeah, if we're gonna really look back on it, I grew up on a farm. I played outside a lot. Well, my brother and I built tree forts. We, I spent most of my time outside as a kid. So I would say that my connection to nature and the outdoors started when I was just a little wee one. And then I actually started hiking mountains and doing cool stuff like that in my early 20s. So it's just
your audio's starting to drift. I can hear the first snap, crackles, and pop. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. She'll come back. She always does. There she is.
Say I'm never coming back.
I said she'll come back. She always does. Okay, so you built tree forts. You were a wee one.
Built tree forts. Really started taking outdoor recreation seriously probably in my early 20s. Like I was always, playing soccer and playing team sports. But when it comes to hiking and biking, and did some trail running and other outdoor adventure stuff, like that didn't really start till like my mid 20s. And now I take it pretty seriously in my 30s.
I know you do. Your Instagram, your tweets, the fact that you have a show called Let's Take This Outside tells me you take it very seriously. I also like that there's a huge element of self-deprecation with your douche photos. They always amuse me to no end.
Good. I will keep those up for you. I haven't done one in a long time. Douchebag cyclist.
Douchebag cyclist. Yeah. Aren't they all, though?
Well, I make fun of them. There's a lot of wonderful people who bicycle outside. There's definitely like a mood though of people who take themselves. It's just people who take themselves too seriously. That can be in anything though. That can be in work. That can be in sports. That can be if you take yourself too seriously. Like I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, no. As a now a soccer dad, I can tell you. Any parent who's yelling at their kid to instructions, I'm like, oh, I am never going to hang out with you at a barbecue. We're never going to get along. They are 8. My kid doesn't wipe himself properly. He is not going to be a professional athlete.
Is there anything I can help with when it comes to parents that listen to that Nerd Dad podcast? Is there anything that you would like to, because I'm not a parent, unfortunately, but I have a lot of friends with children. There's many people who have had children lately that I know. So okay. There's many.
Okay, so as a parent, are the outdoors safe?
Jeez, that's a very broad question.
Okay, well, what do you use for bug spray?
I know there's kid-specific bug spray.
Forget the kid stuff. Just what do you use?
I use DEET. I know that sounds. I know maybe people might hate me for saying that, but mosquitoes love me. Black flies love me. If I didn't have that, if I didn't have that curse, or if I didn't have that, I'd probably use something else. But the fact, like, I don't want to end up with West Nile. I don't want to end up. Is that still around?
I don't know. As opposed to all, you're like, I don't want to end up with it. As opposed to all those people who do want to end up with it.
But yes, I straight up use bug spray with DEET in it. I know maybe people might not agree with me on that, but that's what I use.
All right, I'm gonna take this a slightly different way. I'm gonna go back to cyclists for a second. A couple weeks ago, I had a voiceover cop, Sean Shapiro, on my show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, love Sean. Been on the show a few times. And I had him on because he was getting into a war on Twitter with cyclists about whether or not bike helmets are a safe element. Now, just hear me out, because I went to war with these people as well, and I ended up having to block a whole bunch of them because they started calling me like a rape apologist. Like, it got really weird really fast. So
okay.
So stay with me here.
Okay.
A photo was shown of a family on bikes without helmets. And Sean commented something to the effect of, if they were really safe, they'd be wearing helmets. The anti-bike helmet people, and I don't think they're really anti-bike helmet people, what they're against is they're against police officers saying you should wear bike helmets because it's not the only thing that should be done. I think the extreme cyclist people want cars removed from the road so they can cycle everywhere. That's what I think is occurring.
It's not really
so
good.
I went to war with these people because Sean's a police officer and he has other things to do and I don't. And then I started saying, helmets are safe. Helmets make things safer. You should be wearing a bike helmet. And it got to the point where one guy said, he accused me of being the type of person who says a woman in a short dress deserves it. And I'm like,
that's not close at all. That's not a good parallel, in my opinion.
So do you think bike helmets are safe?
This is way too personal of a question because I've had a brain injury that still affects me to today. But it was from downhill skiing, but I was wearing a helmet. I will say that.
What? That wasn't a joke? Are you okay?
No. That's a serious comment.
Okay.
I had a pretty bad concussion 5 years ago, and I still have like vestibular issues, and I still have
Were you wearing a helmet?
I was wearing a helmet. I was wearing goggles. It was downhill skiing. So now, I take helmets very seriously. To be honest, I take my brain health and my head health very seriously. People can do whatever they want with their bodies, but I know it's not the same. But I am very pro helmet, and I will always encourage people to wear helmets.
We're going to end there because, and I don't know if you know why I'm going to end it here. If you're ahead of me on with this yet. The first take, we talked about raw dogging it. And now you're saying you're pro helmet. That is a bookend if I ever heard of one.
I think you should. I'm going to stop talking.
It just got staticky again anyways.
Can you even hear me anymore? Or is it just cutting out?
I can hear you. It's staticky though. Drop out and come back in so we can do a proper goodbye. What a great show.
Hello, I'm still here.
Yeah, you're still here. That was fantastic. Yeah. So we're going to bookend it. We're going to bookend it with raw dogging it and being pro helmet, and I cannot think of a better way to end it.
Wait, am I going to make the list of worst interviews ever?
No, this was one of my favorites.
Is it because I'm such a gong show? And
it was just fun.
Great. Okay.
Like we're over 30 minutes. That's not including the false start.
I love the false start. Please edit it in.
I'm going to make sure it's in there somewhere. This was terrific. Anne Ivison, where can people find you?
Well, the Nerd Dad.
You bastard.
Hey, Joey, thanks so much for the interview. You can find me a few places, I guess. By the way, I want to just say that I love what I do. You just caught me on a day where I feel a little bit like, this feels like a grind, but I love what I do. I love my podcast. I love being a voiceover artist. I love being creative every single day and creating audio. I just want to say that. But I'm like, give me like 5 years. Like, interview me again in 5 years and see how I'm feeling. Maybe I'll feel more secure then.
I hope you come on sometime between now and 5 years.
Also possible.
Okay.
Where can people find me? ivisonvoice.com. Let's take this outside.ca. Throughout the internet, just look at me: Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of those things. Put me in the show.
I enjoyed your website. I was on there clicking at the demos. I sent you a message. I'm like, you don't even sound like you in this one.
You liked it?
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun listening to it because I know you a little bit.
Yeah.
Someone scanned the QR code. I don't have a QR code on my show.
It's
Don't know what that means.
It's called acting.
Yeah. Anyways, I greatly appreciate it. It was a lot of fun clicking through and hearing your voice. And I was like, oh, she sounds like a teenager in this one.
This one, she sounds like a small child. This is great. No? Okay.
No. There was also the one where you're doing like the training manual and you're like, be sure to click the blue box.
Click.
That means you're completed. Good job.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome. You're great. Thank you so much for doing this, and we'll do it again soon, hopefully.
I hope so too. Thanks, Joe.
I want to thank Anne Ivison for her time and the laughs along the way. That was so much fun to be a part of. And she'll be back for sure when I have something else to ask her about who knows what. Wasn't really sure what I was going to ask her about, but I booked her as a guest, to be perfectly honest. I just wanted to talk to her because I've seen her on other shows, and I'm like, she looks like fun. And I figured that would come through, and it did. So thank you, Marianne. Not Mary, Marianne. Finally, thank you. Thank you, the fine people who listen to this program as often as you do, and who have been tuning in more and more to listen to my interviews. We'll see who I get for next week. Be well, be safe.
For listening. Damn.